Hello there. This is going to be a bit of a state of the podcast. You could call it episode. This is episode 586. Howdy, howdy. Let's get rowdy.
Do you really wanna click save?
Leadership,
Roll a six, make a move extreme.
token on,
Taking action from your team. I go straight to your start, hypersonic speed.
roll a 5,
Getting brave, hitting blades, cross fangs.
KO,
Stick and move, click a few just to hit a stop. Need a 3 CCE on a flurry close.
tear your dials apart.
Once the timer starts, do you really wanna click save? What's going up must come down. Do you really wanna click save? Baby, you gotta find the word to soon become. You're the best, the judge is wrong, but you apply the damage on. Roll your dice for initiative, son.
Dial H for HeroClix is brought to you by you guys, the people. Go ahead and join our Patreon at Dial H Podcast, patreon.com. Check it out there. Like I said, I'm your host, Kalder. I've been the host of the Dial H for HeroClix podcast since around 2019. And I first started doing the Dial H for HeroClix podcast in August of 2017. So I want to do a little mini history on this solo episode. I've never done a solo podcast before. We're going to see how well it goes. I'm certain I will start and stop this a lot. I think I'm going to do it a ton, actually. So we will just kind of keep rolling with that. So like I said, for those that don't know, Dial H for HeroClix has a really, really long, varied history, and I'm very fortunate that I've been here for a majority of it. So, Dial H for HeroClix started back in 2013. It was Hunter Smith, Austin Smith, and Drew Alderson. Those were the hosts of the podcast. They were definitely different than the host now and the hosts that I've done the show with. But they were really cool guys. They started all of this. They started Dial H. They made a lot of the first Dial H YouTube videos, the podcast, everything. Then kind of slowly as time goes on, as you've no doubt noticed, people quit. They lose interest in HeroClix, lose interest in the game. They lose interest in just doing the podcast, but they still love doing HeroClix, etc., all sorts of things. But many people have quit Dial H over the years. You can kind of see where I'm going with a lot of this. So it came down to, I believe Harry Dempsey was on the show for a while. There were a few other people on the show for a while. But for the longest time, it was just Drew Alderson and a gentleman by the name of Chris Britton. And for a while, it was like Drew Alderson was the last original Dial H person. And then it was Chris Britton, and then it became, in August of 2017, was my very first episode with Dial H. And I was very excited about it. I was 18 years old. I was on the very first episode of Dial H for HeroClix that I ever done when I was 18 years old. I went to a state tournament. I had braces at this moment in time. It's crazy. I went to a South Dakota state tournament. I played in it. I think I got top 8. I didn't do very well after that. I played title character, slow-mo bullet time, Deadpool, and I had a blast. That was a lot of fun. And I remember driving home. It's like a 3-hour drive from Sioux Falls back to the ranch, like rushing home. My mom drove me so I could get back in time to be on the Dial H podcast. I was following the Dial H Twitter account, and they were looking for a fan to be on the show. And I was a Dial H super fan. I was never actually a literal super fan. They are the ones that made up that term and give that out, which we now give out every year. But I loved that podcast. I listened to it religiously. I listened to a ton of HeroClix podcasts back then, but Dial H was my favorite. The chemistry those guys had was amazing. I would listen to them out when I was fixing fence on the pasture, on the ranch. And that was just my favorite thing to do, was fix fence and just listen to HeroClix podcasts in general, but mostly HeroClix podcasts, because I literally couldn't play HeroClix. I have loved HeroClix since 2012, 2011, around when the Captain America and Avengers set came out, but I lived in Kennebec, South Dakota, the middle of nowhere. I was a kid, I didn't have a car, The nearest HeroClix venues were about 2.5, 3 hours away, and then they played later at night. So, like, I remember begging my parents when we could go to Rapid City or Sioux Falls to actually go play HeroClix. So, for the longest time, I never had a place to actually play this game that I was obsessed with, that I loved, because I love superheroes. And so I loved listening to podcasts. I would listen to every single HeroClix podcast that was out at the time. 2Clicks from KO, Clicks TV, um, you know, Critical Clicks did a podcast back then. And I think by the time I was getting on to Dial H, Clickstuff might have just started doing podcasts. I actually never listened to Clickstuff back then because they literally didn't have a podcast for the longest time. So, but all those classic ones, Aaron Cantu, 2Clicks from KO, that was a huge favorite. I love that podcast. But yeah, so in August of 2017, that was my very first episode. It was with Chris Britton, it was with Drew Alderson, and it was myself talking about the state tournament I was in and some other stuff that happened. The Thor set was coming out that year. It was a big rules change for HeroClix, etc. And then that was episode 267, 167, I want to say. And then 169 was the very last episode that Chris Britton did. Drew Alderson did. I did one more episode with Chris and Drew, and then Drew did an episode with himself and Hunter, and I don't know if Austin was on that or not, but definitely Drew and Hunter were on that. And then from 170, I want to say it was 170, not 270, from 170 onward was Chris Britton and I. And Chris Britton and I, we like doing the show. Chris was a very different guy. If you guys remember those early years of doing the podcast in 2017, 2018, towards the end of 2019, Chris and I were pretty different. The podcast always, we had like no start time to it. It was like literally, let's meet at 7 o'clock every Sunday. Hey, dude, it's like 6:65. You jumped on, and then we just like instantly hit record. Like, we were just, boom, instantly recording the show. It is during that time that I went to my first nationals at Origins. I want to say I went to Origins twice, once in 2018, once in 2019, and had a blast. I never went to Worlds in that time period, but I went to Origins. It was really fun. I really liked going to Origins. I was making... I was wearing the cowboy hat, and a lot of people were like, that's really weird. Who is that? Who does that at HeroClix events? There was one player who specifically didn't like me because I wore that, even though that's just like, as someone who's from South Dakota, who lives on a ranch, lived on like a cattle ranch, that's just what I like to wear, is like blue jeans and boots and the cowboy hat and everything. And I thought it was really funny that people would literally be like, I don't like that guy based on how he dresses. Which is a hilarious concept, really. It's really funny. But that aside, I've actually later talked to that person, and we were like chill after that. But it's always so ridiculous to me that anybody would make that assumption. But anyways, that is kind of the beginning of the show. Fact-checking myself here, it was episode 166 was my first episode on the show, and then I did 167. 168 was the episode with Hunter and Drew. And then 169 onward, I was on the show. And I remember that because it was literally 100 episodes, 102 episodes or so, until Simeon got on the show. And Simeon was at 269. And so I thought it was really funny. That was like, wow, instantly just the next one. So there's a little blurb that I have written, if you ever want to see this. All of the different podcasts in different eras are on the YouTube channel in playlists. So if you want to ever check this stuff out and look at a little more condensed version of what I'm trying to say, go ahead and check out those playlists. Moving on to the silver age, as I like to call it, of Dial H for HeroClix, we have, and this is like the silver age, but for me it's kind of like my golden age, or like my favorite age. I think it's silver. I think that's what it would be in comic book terms. Either way, it's when Simeon and I were just doing the show. So Simeon was somebody who I had played a couple of tournaments against. He and I had this really funny, like, jokey rivalry because I think in back-to-back tournaments, we knocked each other out of, like, top 8, which is just really funny. So in around episode 269, Simeon joined the show. And so with that he was like my rival, and we had him on the podcast a couple of times actually, and he was, and it was just Chris and I, and we would do this thing. I'm kind of jumping around, and I think that's okay. So Chris left the podcast because he joined the military. So because he joined the military, he obviously had to go through basic. He left the show, and it was never really going to come back or any interest in coming back. And so it was like late 2019, Simeon and I start the show, and then we just have a great time. Like this, this is like legit my favorite era of the podcast. We do a bunch of ridiculous stuff. Sadly, shortly after Simeon and I start the show, COVID happens, obviously, in 2020, and then we have to change all these things. But then we do these things called Thursday Throwdown, which very few people watched, which really surprised me that nobody watched these. I'm sure if we had better episode, like thumbnails or something, like not the garbage thumbnails that I made, I think if we had better thumbnails, they probably would have done better. But Simi and I would literally meet every single Thursday. We would play HeroClix. We started doing it on Wednesdays, but we'd play HeroClix on Roll20 or on Tabletop Simulator, and we would let people vote. We would play from the beginning, from the very first set ever made, Infinity Challenge, Hyper Time, whatever, and then we would just match up. This set, okay, what was the next set? That would face the last one, right? And we would just keep doing that. Roughly power levels, we try to keep fair enough. But Simi and I did that entire, throughout 2020, were those videos. And then 2020 culminated. Honestly, we made great HeroClix content in 2020, guys. Extreme Rules came out in 2020, which I really wanted to make a HeroClix gameplay video where a lot of just ridiculous stuff happens. I really enjoyed Max Mofo and Filthy Frank and all of these crazy 2010s YouTubers that would do ridiculous stuff. And they have two very popular videos of them playing Twister. I recommend them. They're not family friendly, but they're really funny. And I wanted to make HeroClix content like that. I love the idea of like literally actually getting hurt because of something in the game or playing HeroClix. I don't think it meshes well with the HeroClix community. I don't think that level of humor was there for them. It's very much like kind of like Jackass, right? Like it's kind of that level of humor. But I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really funny. And so we did WWE Extreme Rules, the WWE set, the 1-year anniversary of that set coming out. And then to end that year, we did a Christmas episode of Dial H for Hot Ones, where we eat spicy like hot wings in between every single round. So I take a turn, we both ate a wing. I don't know if it was I take a turn and Simeon takes a turn, then we both eat a hot wing, or if it was like I take a turn, we both eat a hot wing, he takes a turn, we both eat a hot wing. Something like that. But either way, we probably ate like 20 hot wings by the end of the night, and we were just like dying. That video is still so funny. One of the absolute like funniest videos we've ever made. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. So that was 2020. I've been doing this now since I was 2017, since I was 18 years old at the time I started, and then end of 2020, I'm 22 years old. Kind of go through some years here. In 2022 is when Ian first kind of gets introduced to like the mix and everything. And that is almost around when we start doing like work with WizKids, which is really cool. 2022 is like an insane landslide year. It was one of my favorite years ever, even though like not a lot of good stuff necessarily like happened in 2022, but this was such a huge highlight that it didn't matter. With the Disney Plus unboxing, they gave that product to basically everybody under the sun, if you remember back then when that happened, and we were able to unbox it. We actually weren't a part of all the people that got it. We did this separate little video. People made fun of us for it. I like jokingly begged for product, and the way people are in the HeroClix community, they ripped into us. They were like, wow, this guy has like destroyed HeroClix before, he's done blah blah, like why should he ever get HeroClix, which kind of sucks, and it's kind of rude because I make funny content. I don't know, I thought that stuff was all funny. I think however you spend your money, you can spend and do whatever you want with your money. I think it's hilarious. But a lot of people were anti-Dial H, or a lot of people didn't really know about us. But I still stand by, I think we were making, bar none, the best HeroClix content. Were we this like educational, amazing channel like Tabletop Teacher? No, absolutely not. But did we have like hilarious, just actually funny videos? Yeah, absolutely. I think bar none, Dial H for HeroClix makes the absolute like funniest HeroClix content. Sorry to everybody else. You guys are great. I love you guys. But I do genuinely think we made like the funniest content, like for sure. We had like crazy humor. We had all these funny skits. And even if people go, blah, 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 I don't care about having fun. I don't care about skits. How about you just go ahead and show me the new figure? You know, if you get past all like the lame stick in the muds like that, I think we make some of the coolest stuff. So, Dial H for HeroClix, we get Ian. It's now Simeon, Ian, and I, and we are gung-ho. We're making all sorts of really cool skits for Disney+. The weekend I move out of my apartment in Vermilion, South Dakota, where I made, like, most of, like, these crazy Dial H unboxings or skit videos or whatever, we do this big weekend filming where we do all of our Disney+ skits. That's the Moon Kalder sketch where I'm, like, Steven Grant, Mark Spector, the Wanda Simeon sketch, which is one of my favorite sketches. All that stuff we made that weekend, a few more like John Walker-esque videos, just really funny stuff. And we did that weekend as I'm like moving out of this apartment. Then I moved back home for a time, and there are a few videos made. Oh, also somewhere in all of this, I'm making the pitch meeting videos, and those are just ridiculous and really funny. And again, I think hilarious. So, you know, if you haven't seen any of the pitch meeting videos, feel free to go check them out. I really like them. Shout out Ryan George, obviously, for making pitch meetings. People gave me a hard time for not crediting him. I was like a pretty young kid when I was making these. I was just using the format. My bad for not citing my sources. People take things too seriously. These nerds are crazy. But obviously, I'm a fan because, like, mimicry or whatever is the best form of flattery, all that jazz. So I obviously love Ryan George, love those pitch meeting videos, made a ton of those pitch meeting videos. In 2023, I'm kind of like, need to start speedrunning a lot of stuff here. In 2023, so obviously end of 2022, oh my gosh, we are able to do Worlds coverage. Really cool, really awesome. I would like to say we got support from the community, but we did not get a ton of support from the community, which is really a shame. But now we're in a better, like, different spot, so I'm really happy where Dial H is now and where we're at, and it's just a lot of fun. So being able to get that opportunity from WizKids to provide HeroClix coverage and be able to talk with them about everything was a phenomenal experience. It is still a phenomenal experience because obviously in a week I'll be down in Origins in Columbus, Ohio, like providing the coverage there. So it's going to be fun, and it's a continued amazing relationship that I really enjoy. So we got to do our first Worlds, a ton of growing pains with it, but a ton of excitement. It was so good. It was so like amazingly fun, and you couldn't beat it. It was a blast. Like that first Worlds, the excitement, there was just nothing on par with it, man. It was just amazing. Going into 2023, well, actually, before we get to there, I do want to shout out, I think it's in late 2021, Simeon and I do this Australian-themed, like, challenge video. This would have been the very last painful HeroClix weird challenge video that we would have made. And I gotta say, just God bless Simeon Bruce for dealing with all of my crazy ideas that I always wanted to do. Ben Jones from Australia, from Down Under, sent us a really cool package of Australian snacks and treats, and he sent us this inflatable kangaroo toy as well as a little mini jar of Vegemite. But mostly all the cool Australian sweets were cool. The Vegemite was painful. That was awful. But we decided to, he was like, make a video with it or something. And I'm like, dude, absolutely. So the video we made that has never been released, that I don't even know where any of this footage is, it may not even exist, it might be Dial H Lost Media. It is the Simeon and I play an Australian-themed game. I want to say he's playing the Serpent Society, or I'm playing the Serpent Society, and then he's playing some Australian-themed characters. I think I said Serpent Society because Australia has snakes. And at the end of every round, if you made more successful attacks or scored points, you could just enjoy your Australian-themed treat. But if you didn't make the most successful attacks or score the most points, depending on either one, you would have to eat your Australian treat with Vegemite on it. And if you guys don't know, Vegemite is like getting punched in the mouth by someone whose fist is made of salt. I think that's the best way I can describe Vegemite. It's like painful. It ain't like peanut butter. It's not like whatever. I don't know what us here in America put on bread that makes it just worse, But that's what they do in Australia. They put this stuff on bread. I guess it's got vitamins and minerals or whatever in it, but it's just a terrible, terrible, awful experience eating this stuff. And so that was the punishment. Every round was you had to eat your Australian treat, but it had to be covered in Vegemite instead. That was truly a punishment. We also had the inflatable kangaroo, and we made each other, or slash I, was like, you have to speak in an Australian accent the entire time of the video. And if your accent like broke, you would just hit each other with the inflatable kangaroo, and we would just do that constantly. So it's this really funny video where we were talking in terrible Australian accents the entire time, eating some really good snacks, and then some snacks that are covered in awful Vegemite. And it's like legit. It's legit one of the funniest. It's one of the funniest videos we ever did that like never saw the light of day, which is really a shame. Going into how Ian and Simeon and I really all started to bond was over the second Extreme Rules video. Second Extreme Rules video was all about getting it back. So the wager, that trailer is now up on Dial H. I'll put it in the description of this podcast. But the wager is about how I lost the original Extreme Rules. My character, the Rowdy Ranch Hand, lost the original Extreme Rules, and he wants to try to get the title belt back. And I wanted to make Extreme Rules almost like this series where the Rowdy Ranch Hand and the Billy and Clicks Bruce fight for it. And like we hit each other with steel chairs. A lot of that transcended. It like went on to our live streams a lot. Like our 400th episode live stream is an insane live stream where Simi and I are hitting each other with chairs and doing shots of hot sauce and singing and dancing and all these ridiculous things. Like we hit each other with the steel chair so many times. I think we only did it like once to Ian, but we used to do some really wild live streams that were just, again, crazy entertaining for the HeroClix world. Like no one else was doing stuff like that. No one else would do stuff like that. And if you're like, well, why would that be whatever? I'm like, don't be a stick in the mud, bro. That stuff was awesome. But then Ian helped us make the wager, and then that's where Ian kind of started being in the background of things and behind the scenes and stuff of making videos. He never really wanted to be on the podcast early on. We did a few episodes with him, and we kind of moved on from there. So we did Worlds. Ian and I moved to Omaha in the beginning of 2023, which is crazy. That was also one of the first Champion Clicks Opens I went to by myself, and I stayed with Chance McCall, super fan of the show. Also just insane. I got insanely sick after that Champion Clicks Open. The day after Champion Clicks was done, and I flew home. Literally that next day, I drove to Omaha, packed up all my stuff, drove to Omaha, and then I moved into our house down there. The house that you've seen only in a handful of videos. There's a couple of weird ones. So I think obviously most notably is all of the, and this was my favorite time too. Which again, you'll find there's a common theme where the community is never as receptive as I want them to be, which is really such a shame because I think we do like cool stuff. Obviously, I'm biased, but during Next Phase, and obviously Next Phase was not a super well thought of set, very well regarded set, which is a shame because there's a lot of stuff in it that I did really enjoy. But we got to do the unboxing instead of Scott Porter, which is still like one of the coolest things we ever got to do, where we were in charge of showcasing all this stuff first. And with that, we wanted to go big and go home. Like Dial H Style was making all these really fun skits and stuff before an unboxing, and I really wanted to do that. Ian really wanted to do that. Simeon really wanted to do that, and we do all this crazy stuff, all the fake like infomercials, the TV shows. Still, like one of the videos I rewatch all the time is Ian, Simeon, and myself like pitching our ideas for a TV show. And all of our ideas for a TV show were like just the ideas that ourselves like thought of, right? Like I was like, I really want a show called On Your Left, where it's all Captain America's in full house. Like it's literally just different versions of Captain America, because that's my favorite way to play the game, is literally just play different versions of Captain America. So that's what I wanted to do. It's crazy, like fun fact about that. We film all the unboxings back to back before some of the skits. So in like the skit, you see the skit for like the Detective Dracula, which is so funny, the My 600-Year Life, which is hilarious, and then On Your Left, you see all of those before you ever see our brick. But in our brick, we knew that we pulled Steve, the guy who's like an actor playing Captain America and Rogers the Musical, and we reference Steve in the on your left. So I think it's really cool. Also, another crazy fun fact about that unboxing, the day we got that brick and went to go unbox it, I was driving home from work. It was January. We got an insane amount of snow, and I actually totaled my car on my way. This lady took this really fast turn, but then her vehicle didn't follow very fast, and I was too close to her, and I couldn't hit the brakes with all the snow on the ground, and I like just hit her car kind of hard. And like my headlight was like falling out of it, and I'm like, blah blah blah, let's get this handled. I just want to go home. I want to unbox these HeroClix right now. Oh my gosh. And so get all of that taken care of, go home so I can finally unbox these HeroClix. The next day, like take the morning off work, all this stuff. I find out like my car's been like totaled. It's just like, yeah, insurance will pay it out, all this stuff. So fun behind the scenes for the next phase unboxing. I literally totaled my car on the way to go home. I was excited. I was excited that we got like a brick before Scott Porter. That was huge. Like that meant a lot to us as like accomplished like YouTubers and members of the community. It was crazy. It was insanely cool. It really was like the coolest thing ever. I'm gonna say that a lot as like we get more opportunities and stuff. It's all the coolest stuff ever. So to kind of finish up, like later that year at the end of, I want to say right before the Deadpool Weapon X unboxing, Simeon like makes it known, like Simeon says he's gonna quit basically. There's kind of a lot of stuff he wanted to pursue, things he wanted to do, and he'd been doing Dial H for a really long time. So Simeon was on Dial H for episode 269 through episode 524, which is an insane amount of time. Like a ton of episodes Simeon was on. They are just such a great time. I obviously like love it. I love Simeon as a co-host, love him as like a person, as a friend. It was crazy cool. It was still a blast. It's been nothing short of like an utter joy to work with somebody that will do some of the crazy ideas that I have had, you know, and then also have some crazy ideas of his own. So Simeon was like a blast to work with. After that, it was just Ian and I, and we're doing the episodes. We're going through kind of the normal flow of the show. We make some pretty solid content. There's not a ton, like there's not an insane amount of stuff that like sticks out. There were a few different episodes that were always really fun. I think Ian and I, we really started to nail down how long a podcast can be for a set review. Like we were so good at getting set reviews done under like 5 hours. But before, like Simmy and I were doing like 5 hour set reviews. We were trying to get through these, but like it just did not happen. So like it was pretty awesome. So roughly around 525 is Ian's first episode, and obviously it is first episode where it's literally just Ian and I. He's been on several others before. And then 585 would be his last episode. As no doubt, like a lot of you guys noticed, the podcast, YouTube videos, episodes, all that stuff really started to trail off by the end of last year after Worlds and then getting into this year. So like the content has not been where I've wanted it to be for a long time, but it also just like straight up has not been the vibe to like get a bunch of content like done. So as we are ramping up, I would consider it like the Dial H busy season now that I'm going to go do nationals, and then videos and stuff will happen from then to now, from after that, and then Worlds will happen. So we're going to start to like ramp up production, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little overview of my history with Dial H, what Dial H has been, because, you know, co-hosts like sadly come and go. Like every single one of the co-hosts I've ever had been like, again, amazing people, really cool creative people who I've had the pleasure to work with. And right now where Dial H is at, I am not going to like jump into just another partnership with somebody, another like person to have a co-host with. For the time being, there's going to be a lot of questions. A lot of people are asking it already. Like who's going to be the next co-host? Who's going to help you out on the show? For a while, it's going to be me. I'm going to have a few episodes with a lot of guests that I'm really excited to have on. I want to try to kind of push the boundaries, not really push the boundaries, but do some unique stuff in the podcast space that I've been needing to do. I've been meaning to do for a long time now. So I'm really excited to do that. I hope you guys are excited too. Kind of the preface of the show is to just say I've been doing HeroClix content for like 9 years, almost 10 years now. Ever since I was like 18 and a pretty young, stupid kid, And until now, where I'm now almost 28, this is like more meaningful to me than any like high school 10-year reunion. You know, it's like next year I'm going to celebrate like 10 years of Dial H for HeroClix, of me being a part of Dial H for HeroClix. And I've kind of persisted through every single version of the podcast, every single version of the show. So I just want to keep doing my best to make more content. I want to make Dial H one of the coolest, you know, places for HeroClix, nerd culture, whatever it is. It's been my home for a really long time, and I like my home. I like Dial H for HeroClix, so I hope everybody is also just like a fan. Like, it's been a long trip. There are going to be a handful of people that have been here from the beginning, and I hope stick around because I love doing Dial H. I really want to keep doing it as well. And for right now, what makes the most sense is to not rush into anything too crazy, getting a new co-host or auditions or all sorts of funny, silly things that a lot of people are asking. So all of those questions are going to be ignored. So if you ask that question, that's your answer. I'm going to do a lot of content by myself for right now. I will have guests on the podcast. This is probably going to be the only solo podcast. Maybe there'll be one more. I don't know. But this is kind of everything I wanted to talk about. So moving on to Facebook, Alec Musser asks, what is your favorite cut of beef? Great question. I like the ribeye. So the ribeye is the steak cut. It is a little fattier of a steak. It's got a nice long strip of fat, and I enjoy it a lot. Ribeye is absolutely my favorite cut of beef. I think it's pretty amazing. Sirloin is the cut you want to have when you're cutting. So if you're wanting a little bit of a lower fat content slice of beef, you can go ahead and do a sirloin. Dylan Barrett asks, who's the next co-host? Skipping that question, I just answered it. Nick Ballou asks, have you ever had a snake in your boots? The short answer is no, I've never had a snake in my boots. But I have ran into a lot of rattlesnakes off on the ranch, you know, fixing fence and things. And number one, rattlesnakes are just bad for cattle and horses. You know, so I'm going to tell a little mini story here that won't be for the faint of heart, but that's just what ranchers do. This is how your food is made. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, if I come across a rattlesnake, I'm gonna kill that thing. I'm gonna take a steel post from off the four-wheeler, and I'm gonna bash it, bro. I'm getting to bashing. Rattlesnakes are a venomous creature that can be terrible for your horses and cows. And there was actually one time where I was riding a horse and a rattlesnake startled him, and I got bucked off. So yeah, I've never had a snake in my boot, thank goodness, but I don't leave my boots out. I bring my boots on the inside. So the idea that a snake would be in your boot is because you left your boots outside where a snake could crawl into, and kind of make a little home, but I take my boots inside the house. Mike Buell asks, if they make a parachuting Captain America figure, would I collect it? Sadly, yes, I would collect it because I collect everything Captain America, but this is a joke about how I don't like seeing Captain America drawn with a parachute, because a lot of MCU stuff and other moments in comics, Captain America will jump out of a plane and people will be like, did he even have a parachute? And they'll like say, no, he doesn't. And so I like the idea of like Captain America jumping out. How does he land with like the shield? Hit a bunch of trees, crack a rib probably. The shield doesn't absorb that much of the impact. I don't really care. I like it when Captain America doesn't have a parachute and he just figures out a way to do it because it's cool. That's like a neat thing about his character. So this comes from, I want to say, some Secret Wars Battle World comic, the end of it, where Captain America is like parachuting down, and I'm like, that's lame. I don't ever want to see him use a parachute ever. Tyler McConnell asks, when will they unveil a Sergeant Slaughter G.I. Joe HeroClix? I don't know, but with G.I. Joe getting HeroClix, fingers crossed we are getting Sergeant Slaughter. That would be really cool. I like G.I. Joe a lot. I had a few of the early to mid 2000s G.I. Joe stuff on VHS, maybe some DVDs. It'd be kind of cool if it was on DVD, but I think it was some VHS stuff. Back when like everything in your mom got a trading card game, there was a G.I. Joe trading card game that came with it, which was really cool. So I'm pretty big on G.I. Joe. Eric Scov asks about Volt Boosters. How do you feel about these special packouts? How do you feel about how they're being distributed? I'm gonna have to double check on what their price is. I don't think I'm in love with the distribution. I'm okay with them for the Batman set because I'm not the world's biggest DC guy. None of these are lantern based, which is the only part of DC that I really enjoy. So because none of these are like must have, gotta have them, they're a pretty easy thing for me to skip. However, I think the value is there. I'd have to double check how exactly you're able to get a vault booster, but every single one of them is stacked with something, at least one thing that's like meta relative, or it's just a ton of stuff. Honestly, I think the Penguin one might be one of the weaker ones that Ian and I opened, but the vault boosters are, I think, very solid. So, I mean, obviously, would we prefer everything to be a little easier to get, a little cheaper? Totally. But for what the vault boosters give you, I'm pretty cool with them. Jonathan Virgilio asks, "What excites you about the future of HeroClix?" A lot of things. Number one, the most excited thing I am for right now is the Thunderbolt set, especially the idea if they have Thunderbolts like movie, like they did a Thunderbolts tie-in comic for the movie that had mostly the characters that were going to be in the Thunderbolts movie in the comic. I love the Thunderbolts movie. If you've paid attention to anything of mine on social media, that was my favorite movie of last year. I saw it 3 times in theaters. I saw it probably 6 or so times throughout the course of the year. I mean, I went to Walmart and bought the Blu-ray as soon as I could. I went to an early showing on April 22nd, April 20 something. Down in Kansas City. I went to an early showing dressed as U.S. Agent. I was that excited for Thunderbolts because I love U.S. Agent as a character. I love Wyatt Russell's acting. I love the way he portrays John Walker. John Walker is one of the most well-written, well-made characters ever. And if you take him, not even at face value, but if you just don't even use any of your brain cells and like turn your brain off while you're watching anything with John Walker and you take it at that value, you're not going to get anything out of his character. But if you really pay attention to his story arc, he's one of the best, like most well-written characters ever, and the acting that Wyatt Russell does to pull it off is incredible. So anything John Walker related, I am a huge fan of. Any alternate Captain America versions of Captain America, alternate Captain America stuff, I love. So I'm very excited for the Thunderbolt set. That's like super immediate. Outside of that, I am really excited for HeroClix to grow into other game spaces. I want HeroClix to be, it's my favorite game of all time. Likely for a lot of you guys, it's your favorite game of all time. So I hope you're also just like, I hope HeroClix gets huge, gets massive, and then a ton of people are playing it. Like that's what I want for HeroClix. HeroClix turns 25 next year, which is crazy. So in my 10-year anniversary with Dial H, HeroClix is having its 25th anniversary. So I'm really excited for what that potentially could be, whatever that ends up meaning. Like, that just sounds really cool. Anthony Barnstable asked, "Do you prefer boxing the sport or unboxing?" I prefer unboxing. I mean, this is like a joke question, but obviously, like, yeah, bro, unboxing stuff rules. Pokemon cards, Magic cards, HeroClix, White. I don't know why I said Pokemon. I haven't opened a freaking pack of Pokemon in probably 20 years. But like White Schwartz, I love opening White Schwartz. That's like a very like low key card game that no one really plays or knows about. Magic, I love cracking open Magic. Can't wait to open a ton of Magic cards here for the Marvel set. And then a pack of HeroClix. Dude, there was nothing like opening that first brick of Deadpool when I first get... Deadpool is like my favorite set, by the way. So shout out Deadpool 2014. Amazing set. Shout out Guardians of the Galaxy 2014. I bought one brick, pulled a zombie, and then I kept trying to buy loose boosters. I probably bought 40-something loose packs of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I never pulled another zombie besides the zombie Red Skull I pulled in my brick. So that set treated me terribly for loose booster pulls, and I probably pulled Lockjaw so many times that I'm like, oh, I hate this dog. I hate this character. I think I actually hate the Inhumans, the amount of times I pulled like Lockjaw and Karnak and whatever, you know. I don't know if you guys have that. I definitely do. Obviously, there are some things that like people are like maybe slightly off put by, like how much I hate Superman and despise that character, but in like the literal game of HeroClix itself, I was like indifferent towards Spider-Man. He was like cool, he was all right, he was whatever, but he's literally so annoying to play against. Like Super Senses the Power is so incredibly annoying to play against that like, oh, I hate Spider-Man now. Like, I cannot stand that guy, you know. It's kind of the same deal. Lockjaw, I hate that dog. Dude, like every time I had to pull that dumb 2x2 peanut based Lockjaw, I'm just like, dude, I'm sick of this teleporting dog. Get him away from me, please. So yeah, I love unboxing stuff. Unboxings are awesome. One of the first videos I ever made for HeroClix before I was ever on Dial 8, this is in 2014 with the release of the Captain America movie set. I did an unboxing and I uploaded it to YouTube. I don't know if it exists anywhere anymore or whatever, but it's me, young 15-year-old, 14-year-old Kalder, 15-year-old Kalder opening a pack of Captain America and the Winter Soldier like HeroClix the countertop displays. So that exists somewhere on the internet. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but for a time it did exist. There's also maybe some Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies that existed as well, but I'm not going to give anybody a hint as to where those are, like, ever. But I even did those unboxings, and I remember when I first ordered that countertop display, and I was just, like, shaking with excitement. Doug Russell asks, do you think they should have extended the null ban to all sealed events over the weekend at Origins? I assume he means the, like, Battle Royales. Yeah, you could probably ban null in a Battle Royale. He's pretty gross. I would have been okay with them banning null. I think that's very fair. Johnny Sanders asks, Mr. Smith's order. The Mr. Smith's order is always peasant bread. So Mr. Smith's, for those that don't know the lore, was a sandwich shop inside of an Ace Hardware in my quote-unquote college town that I lived in for 4 years with my older brother. So from like late 2018 to mid 2022, I lived in Vermillion, South Dakota, and they had this restaurant called Mr. Smith's. The best thing to get, period, is their breakfast burrito. I have never had a better breakfast burrito. I've tried basically every breakfast burrito in the Omaha Metro. I think Harold's Coffee House is the second best breakfast burrito that I've ever had in the entire world. And I usually try to get a breakfast burrito when I travel around the country to different states, but the best breakfast burrito is made by Steve at Mr. Smith's in an Ace Hardware in Vermillion, South Dakota. I don't make the rules. Those are just the facts. That's where it is. If you think you have a better breakfast burrito, I would love to go and try it. Fact of the matter is, it's probably not going to be as good. I guarantee you. I absolutely 100% guarantee you. But you can try. The Mr. Smith's order, though, for the sandwiches is peasant bread, which is a loaf of bread, but instead of cut vertically, it's cut the long way, which I really like. So it's a cut of bread the long way with chicken, and I'm trying to forget, like, it's not barbecue chicken, it's not something else, like Southwest chicken. It's chicken Southwest, banana peppers, whatever cheese, provolone probably, and then a little bit of spinach, and it's that dang Southwest seasoning is so freaking good. But that is the goat, and the way they butter the bread, everything, chef's kiss, it's amazing. Jay Carr, how is it doing the podcast solo compared to others? Is it harder to think of talking points solo compared to with another person? This episode was easy because I knew I wanted to start with a history of me and a little mini history of Dial H to give people an idea of how long Dial H has been a thing. And then I knew I just wanted to answer all these questions. So that was pretty easy. I don't know if I'll do another one of these. I will say this. Already, this episode, I have had way too many awkward pauses. I've, like, burped a few times, and I've been editing that out just on the fly in person, which is way easier to do. So, and I can also just, like, stop the episode, like, whenever, go to the bathroom, whatever. So, yeah, thanks, Jay. It's a cool one. Seth Davis asks, how do Vault Boosters land with you? What are your feelings? Seth, another guy that when I went to some of my first HeroClix tournaments in 2017, 2018, 2019, he would travel with Edward Shelton. And so this Seth guy is crazy cool. If you ever see him in real life, know this dude's a stand-up dude. He's a really cool dude. He's a great HeroClix player. Really, really just a stand-up guy. Vault Boosters are fine. Again, I think I kind of already answered that. I think they get you a lot of bang for your buck. I think they're all pretty legit to pull. So I like Vault Boosters. I think they're okay. Matthew... I feel bad not knowing if it's Groenhide. I want to say it's Matthew Groenhide. Do you think Fight for Gotham will have a ton of Gotham heroes in it, or do you think the villains and sub-things will take up most of the set? Which Batman sidekicks would you most like to see in the set? I'm not a Batman guy. Honestly, really poor timing on Ian's part to... I mean, obviously awesome that he got that job, obviously. But super poor timing on the fact that, like, the most Batman of Batman sets ever is coming out, and... this will be the first unboxing I, like, do by myself. Hilarious, right? Like, that's really funny. And I'm, like, just not a Batman guy at all. Batman doesn't do anything for me. I like watching his movies, but I don't really like any Batman comics. There's no Batman comics I've read that I've particularly enjoyed all that much. It's just not for me. Batman's just not my kind of character. But I like the movies. Movies are cool. So if I for Gotham, will there be Gotham City heroes in it? I think so. I think we saw, like, Batgirl and Robin and all that stuff. As far as Batman sidekicks, I don't feel passionately about any given Batman sidekick. I think Tim Drake is my favorite Robin, so I hope we see a Tim Drake if we haven't already. But that's really about it. Yeah, sorry for all the... Batman's a very popular character. There's going to be a lot of Batman fans. Sadly, Spider-Man's a popular character. A lot of Spider-Man fans. I don't like really either of those guys that much. They don't really do anything for me, so... I apologize. But whenever there's a Captain America set, I'll talk about like I want that version of Bucky, I want that version of Rick Jones. I would love Jack Monroe. Like I'll go nuts for characters no one's ever heard of besides myself. Jaden DeCosmo asks, "Is Triple Pegasus Captain America meta?" I've ran Triple Pegasus Captain America several times. I have ran more than Triple Pegasus. I've run like 10 Pegasus Captain Americas. He is like one of my all-time favorite Captain Americas. The only problem is, of course, he's this very specific version of him with Yarnbjorn on a Pegasus, all that stuff. But it's so goated, you guys. He's so awesome. Like, how do you not love this piece? He gets rid of so many like BS defense powers, and then also he's 40 points. He can't be TK'd. He's like legit maybe one of the most well-balanced silver bullets in the world because he could just freaking die. He's super easy to KO, doesn't reduce penetrating damage, doesn't have any rollouts. He's just like ESD, invulnerability. That's nothing, basically. He has hypersonic speed with a very minimal speed value, very low speed value. He can't be TK'd. Like, Pegasus Captain America is legit one of the most like well-balanced meta counters. So he was never like super duper crazy amazing like top tier meta. Oh, how do I deal with this guy? He was just like an answer to other stuff that was kind of BS. So is Triple Cap meta? I've only ever ran double Pegasus Captain America in a meta sense. It's maybe a little too much. Maybe you're putting too many eggs in one basket with Triple Cap. David Clement asks, when are auditions for your replacement Penguin? Probably never. Probably never. Kyle Bashan asks, did Men's Warehouse guarantee that you'd like the way you look? I actually got that suit in that picture, Kyle, at Target. So if you like that suit, that is just in Target. The more you know. Just throwing it out there. The more you know. Next up, McConnell Lamar saying, have you thought about the future of the podcast in terms of bringing on a new partner? I did. Answer that a few times. What criteria would you be looking for? Answered that a few times. Early legacy predictions for the Thunderbolt set. That's what I'm talking about. All right, McConnell, there's meat potatoes right here. The question here. What would I really like? Again, all of my stuff is going to be super heavy U.S. agent focused. So the John Walker Captain America LE from Armor Wars would be so goated. That is the only version of Captain America where it's John Walker as Cap from the comic books, right? That's the only non-MCU John Walker as Captain America. It'd be really cool to have that done again. I think the Baron Zemo from the Superior Foes of Spider-Man is like, that's like the Thunderbolts. Even if you're going to make 13 more Baron Zemos, that's the Thunderbolts pick for Baron Zemo. Like, that's such a cool, he gave them all sidestep and +1 attack. Like, what a cool figure. Besides that, I don't have a ton of Thunderbolts picks because honestly, I like the Thunderbolts in the comics. I am a fan of the Thunderbolts almost entirely from the movie. I don't love Hawkeye necessarily that much. Baron Zemo's cool. The Citizen V stuff is cool. Is Techno, the Fixer, is he that cool? Not really. I actually prefer, I always forget what her new name is. Songbird, yeah. But, like, I prefer her as Screaming Mimi. Like, when she finally got a figure that was Screaming Mimi in Avengers 60th, I own like 10 Screaming Mimis. I don't really like her as Songbird. I like her as Screaming Mimi. That was when she was like an actual Captain America villain. So I really don't love the Thunderbolts. I love the Thunderbolts, asterisk, the new Avengers. Those are that's my favorite version of the team. That's going to get me ate alive by some comic fans. Obviously, a lot of Thunderbolts are really cool. And I like anti-heroes, and I like street-level stuff, Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen, Marvel Knights stuff. So that's what I'm excited for in this set. Valentin Pereira says, if there were a Transformers Iconics, what characters would you want to come in the box, or what theme? All the Transformers stuff that I know is from the Michael Bay movies. So I love the Michael Bay movies. You love them or hate them, X, Y, and Z otherwise. I think they freaking rock. So I would want a Bumblebee. It'd be cool if they could transform. I don't think HeroClix can do that. But if there was like a car version of Bumblebee, that'd be really cool. My family, we love to watch those original Transformers. It's not really original, but those Michael Bay Transformers movies. So I would want like a Megan Fox. I would want a Shia LaBeouf figure. I would want Bumblebee in the cool Camaro. Optimus Prime. So you have to do Optimus Prime, who turns into like the tractor trailer truck. That'd be really sick. My favorite Decepticons were always the Constructicons. I think those guys were really cool. So I would really like a Constructicons version. And then when it comes to the original show, I actually realized earlier this year, Ryan Redmond can vouch for this, that almost all of the original show was just on Hasbro's website. And so I started watching it, and I actually had a list of things that Optimus Prime said besides Autobots rollout. Let me see if I can find that actually. But while I'm looking for it, I will say someone who I thought was really cool was Soundwave. And it wasn't until I watched that like original show, I'm like, wow, number one, like instantly you're like, this guy looks cool. He has like probably the coolest Decepticon like design. Honestly, if you look at like Megatron in the animated show, I hope this isn't like a hot take or people get mad, but like Megatron doesn't look that cool. He's like really weird helmet. He doesn't look cool at all, in my opinion. But I really like Soundwave, and I never knew this until I literally watched it this year. But like Ryan Redmond's favorite dude, Ravage, is just like a little dude that comes out of Soundwave. So he's not even the main guy. Like, I love you, Ryan, but like, why don't you like the main guy? Soundwave is the main dude. That's like saying Rumble is my favorite, like, Decepticon. That's crazy. Laserbeak is my favorite. How is how like genuinely like no one's asking the important questions. How is Ravage actually Ryan Redmond's favorite when he is just a cassette that comes from a, I'm sorry, way cooler Decepticon. Okay. Stuff Optimus Prime has said besides Autobots rollout. And then I finally have it listed in the episode where he finally says Autobots rollout. Okay. Autobots assemble. That blew my mind when he said that. I was like, hey, yo, Captain America over here. He's assembling the Autobots. Autobots transform. Autobots let's roll. Transform and roll out. So not Autobots anything. Just transform and roll out. Autobots transform and move in. Fat chance, fathead. That had nothing to do with like assembling the Autobots or rolling out. But when he said that to Megatron, I was like, that's pretty sick burn, Optimus. Autobots transform and retreat. Autobots maintain speed and sail on. Autobots report your condition in G1, Season 1, Episode 12. 4 minutes and 3 seconds in, he finally says, Autobots roll out. And then one other time somewhere later, he said, Autobots transform and pull out. Okay, Optimus. So, thank you to everybody that answer or asked questions over there on Facebook. Going into Discord, which again, this is now, we don't have a sponsor anymore. We don't have Cool Stuff Inc. So if you want to support Dial H for HeroClix and the content that, I was going to say we do, but the content that I do, I guess, the content that I do for Dial H, please legit, like, look into dropping some cash on Patreon. If you're worried about how the last couple of months have been really slow with content, videos, and podcasts, don't get me wrong, I've noticed, and I do want to make more. So I'm very excited to just say that, like, I am planning on doing, like, a video a week, you know, podcast a week, every other week. You know, I don't want to burn myself out totally, but I really do want to start picking up production and ramping up and making Dial H something really special while I have a lot of this freedom and creativity that I can do with it. So I'm very excited. So seriously, very strongly I urge you guys to think about supporting Dial H for HeroClix, especially if you've been with me for almost 10 years now that I've been doing this, or if you just really enjoy the show. Chef Boyardee asks, who is a character who's only been clixed once or hasn't been clixed in a really long time that you want clixed again? The answer is easy. The answer is freaking Mr. Immortal. The rest of the Great Lakes Avengers. Need those guys. Need them to get made. I love Mr. Immortal. I love him from HeroClix. It was like reading the back of his HeroClix card, seeing what his sculpts look like. I was like, what? This guy is awesome. So how can you not like the Great Lakes Avengers? They are so funny. They are so cool. Greasy Gabriel asks, do you feel the blind buying format of clicks and boosters and cases has ran its course? It seems like there are so many better ways to sell HeroClix. To me, it feels like sets are about 75% wasted plastic. Do you think a shift towards iconic style sets would benefit the gaming community? I don't know profit margins. I don't know what is cost effective for WizKids, what isn't cost effective. I do think that the big sets let us have more characters that we would maybe never have. Generics make a little more sense in the big sets like that. Like, if we just said HeroClix was only iconics, and we basically said the chases and super rares, roughly, that was it for iconics for HeroClix. Like, yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of wasted plastic. I have a ton of bulk HeroClix that's really hard for me to get rid of, Lord knows. But, I don't know, I still feel like opening those boosters, I think boosters have gotten really expensive, which really blows, which really stinks. But, you know, it's kind of just how it is, kind of the way it goes. But I will say, I like it. I still like the blind format. I still like opening bricks and boosters and cases and things. So I don't think it's run its course, but I do think the supplemental product of Iconics really help it out a lot. And I think those are maybe just so awesome. They're like, why don't we just do this? Miles, superfan, Miles Kane asks, in Avengers 211 through 212, Captain America resigned from the Avengers due to a disagreement with the government, leading into his now famous solo run by Mark Gruenwald. This is my favorite comic book run of all time. Obviously, it wasn't disagreement with government for why Ian left, but do you feel like this could lead into a famous run of Dial H episodes that would rival the greatest Cap run in history? I hope so. I hope so, Miles. If you could tell me that the next, whoever knows how many episodes of Dial H in this new era, I kind of talked about at the start of the show, all the different eras that Dial H has had. If you were to tell me a year from now or whatever that this era would be regarded as the Mark Gruenwald of Captain America like runs, which to me is the great, it really is the greatest Captain America run ever. Normies like to say the Ed Brubaker run, but that's because they don't have the history or time to read a slightly older comic book that's a little wordier. So for a modern take, you can say Ed Brubaker, sure, whatever. But the greatest Captain America run truly is Mark Gruenwald's work on the character. That set the baseline and set the foundation for so many aspects of Captain America that are used constantly. All of the concepts that he introduced throughout his like run in Captain America is just so insane. They're also amazing. So I would hope so. If it could even be 50% of what that Captain America run was, that'd be worth it. That would be pretty dang amazing, Miles. Alex the Enchanter asks, how do you deal with the enormous pressure of being such a lovely person? It's pretty tough. It can be really hard. You know, I shaved my head recently, so there's kind of outlets like that, I guess. I guess. Nah, it's just they take every day in stride. I don't know. That's just a fun question. I'm messing around. As for a real question, though, I saw your post recently about reorganizing and displaying all of the nerd stuff in my apartment. Did you learn anything from the experience? Do you have any advice for people looking to do anything similar? Yeah, if you haven't seen this, guys, on my personal channels, maybe I'll make a big video here to post eventually. I don't know. But I have been displaying all of my nerd stuff in my apartment. So my HeroClix, my action figures, my Legos, statues, all these things. And when I got this apartment, I very much saw in mind like where I could put certain shelves and what I would do. So I've bought about 3 more shelves just for this place. I also want to say I never had a display shelf until I moved into the house with Ian. Literally never had a shelf. Like growing up, I didn't have any shelves. I would set things on my dresser or on my table, my desk, things like that. But I never had like a display just shelf, period. And then that was like addicting. We first got these shelves before we even had a TV in our house. We put these LED lights in the shelves with all of our action figures and HeroClix and stuff, and we would just change the lights, and we'd be like, oh yeah, that's the greatest. Hey man, you want to watch the greatest show on earth? And we would literally just like stare at all this stuff. We would change the lights. We would look at how it made the sculpts look different. It was so funny. So as far as this experience goes, I would say stick to a theme. I think my least favorite action figure displays that I see from anybody are, oh, all these characters are Marvel characters, all these characters are DC characters. Take them out of the box, stand them up next to one another. They look like robots waiting in a line. They look like toys. The best part of an action figure is that it's not a statue. Okay, you can pose it into all sorts of different dynamic poses. I'm not pro or anti-statue or pro or anti-action figure in any way. I love both of them. There are statues that I love. There are action figures that I love because I am ultimately an action figure collector. I've been collecting them for, 10, 15 plus years, whatever it is now. And I love action figures, dude. The posability you get, fiddling around with them, taking an action figure on a road trip and posing it as a kid. Or, like, there was one trip my family took to Colorado, and I had bought the Walgreens exclusive Agent Venom. Didn't know anything about Agent Venom at the time. Didn't know he was Flash Thompson. Didn't know he's whatever. All I knew is that this was frickin' Venom, who's cool. But now he's got guns, and he looks frickin' sick. Yeah. I'm sold. That's probably one of the best action figures ever made, is that Marvel Legends, like, Walgreens exclusive Agent Venom. And I posed the heck out of him on that trip. I went to a camp and just kept messing with him. So, as far as, like, a display goes, though, don't just stand them all up next to each other. If you're going to do a display, have characters fighting, or have it be a team, or have it be all one character. Don't just have it be all the Marvel shelf or all the whatever shelf. That works too, but if you're going to do it, have them displayed in some kind of really cool dynamic scene. So even my shelf, which is like a JoJo shelf, which I say, oh, don't do that. Don't just have one big theme. It's not just like they're not standing there. Joseph is jumping over the fence or he's calling on Hermit Purple. All these guys are using their stand abilities. They're doing some kind of really dynamic pose. They're not just standing there. Don't just have an action figure stand there. The Marvel Legends shelves that have like 50 action figures on them and all they're doing is standing there, that sucks. If you're gonna have people just stand there, make an Iron Man like Hall of Armor shelf. Then all his armor can just stand around because it's like empty armor, right? I have a few different characters that are sorted, or a few different shelves that are sorted by characters. I have this big U.S. Agent John Walker display. All of those figures have some kind of dynamic thing going on. I also have a Thunderbolts display next to it, which is a nice little team shot. I really like that. Or I have my shelves that are purely all Captain America. So I've got a few action figures that are in fun poses, but it's not just like they're not just stacked up standing next to each other. I don't want them to look like toys. I want them to be in a pose where they look like they're in some kind of action. They're an action figure. Don't overdo it on HeroClix. I have a mixture of HeroClix with my stuff. When it's all HeroClix, they don't take up enough space on the shelf. They're too small. Use these. I literally got these stair-stepping spikes rack. That's almost a funny story in and of its own. When Ian and I were looking for something to display HeroClix on for a video, I literally say, if only there was some kind of like stair-stepping spice rack, and then we literally found it in the next aisle over. It was so funny. But I would literally get one of those, put your HeroClix on it. That way, it takes up a little more space on the shelf because HeroClix are really small. They're really tiny. And don't let them have your HeroClix be in sections. Don't just have HeroClix everywhere. Don't sort by chase. I actually would very urge you, don't just do chases and superheroes and stuff, right? Do your Avengers together. Do your Green Lanterns. I have a really cool Green Lantern display that uses the stuff from Adam Shiver, the Lantern batteries, as well as a lot of Lantern characters, like HeroClix. Have some scattered around. I've got some Captain America scattered around the foot of a Captain America statue, but it's not just like, boom, a ton of HeroClix. The Iron Man section of my display, I have some Iron Man HeroClix, but it's just the chase theme from Invincible Iron Man, which is probably one of the coolest, like, prettiest looking chase themes that, like, displays well together. But, like, be very purposeful with it. Don't just have a bunch of HeroClix, because they get lost fast. Having a ton of HeroClix is like, oh, random colorful figure and then a big black base. And then they start to all mold together. So if you're going to have them, either have them be a part of a HeroClix display, but I think they just disappear so fast in that display, sadly, but have some standing out HeroClix. That's what I would really try to urge you to do. Have some sculpts that really stand out. But yeah, I try to keep it themed. My computer desk in my room is all Doom themed, like Doom 2, Doom Eternal, Doom Dark Ages. All my Doom merchandise is on my computer desk, and like that's it. It's all that stuff, and like period, that's it. I've got a Marvel Zombies display, which is a mix of Marvel Zombies action figures as well as the Marvel Zombies HeroClix. Just try to display things within themed buckets. That's what I like to do, and then don't have your figures just standing around. Will Holland says, we got previews of the latest Batman set. Who's a Batman character that should be in the set that we have never seen before? Also, if they did a set like this, Super Boosters with the Captain America set, what vehicles should be in it? Okay, so first off, Batman character we've never seen before. I don't know. All I know is that I want an Azrael that's cool. An Azrael that's like in his Templar suit with his flaming sword. Not him as Batman. I don't want him as Batman. I want him in his cool freaking knight costume. I want that version of Azrael, and I want him to not suck. And then we know he's not getting equipment, but an Azrael sword equipment would have been really cool. As far as a Super Booster, Volt Booster set for Captain America, there's a few different vehicles you can do. I think Captain America flies around in Quinjet quite a lot. He's taken that for a spin a decent amount. Captain America has his van that his motorcycle shoots out of, a la in the movies. Obviously, just his like normal motorcycle would be really cool. Any kind of like Jeep, kind of an army Jeep would be really sweet. There's a few different like vehicles like Red Skull. Red Skull's crazy car from Captain America the First Avenger would be a really interesting vehicle. I've probably made a Captain America and the Avengers set list 2 times, like a new Captain America and the Avengers set list. I've also done like a Captain America, like just in my own free time, I've done like a Captain America World War II set list. There's so much stuff you can do with Captain America if you actually keep it true to him. If you do it where it's literally a Masters of Evil Thunderbolt set with Captain America theming around it, like the Captain America and the Avengers set is one of my least favorite sets of all time. there's so little actual Captain America. There's so little actual things. Like, there's more Iron Man and Iron Man related characters in that set than Captain America characters. There's also more Iron Man related characters at a higher rarity than Captain America related characters. There's also no chase theme in that set. Like, that set sucks on a multitude of levels, which really annoying, because mechanically it was a huge boost meta impact for the 2020 Captain America set, but that was like his almost his 80th anniversary, and that was like one of the worst sets ever as far as like theming goes. Like, that was a theme failure set. All that stuff was just brutal as a Captain America fan. There is more cool Captain America stuff coming out in this Magic the Gathering Marvel set in a few weeks than there was in that Captain. And I know there's like obviously 400 cards compared to like 80 figures, but still, like, it just, that set broke my heart. That set, nobody, I remember very specifically at Origins of 2019, WizKids is doing the show, the little fan appreciation, right? They are announcing new HeroClix sets to come out. They announce the Captain America set. It is literally dead quiet. Nobody makes one except for me. I go, yes! Woo! I am drinking a Bang at the time. Bang was my favorite energy drink at the time. And I go, oh, that's awesome! And I was the only person to react. Literally nobody else was excited, and that freaking broke my heart. And then they announced the dumb, and I only say it's dumb because obviously of this situation, Justice League Unlimited set, and people go, whoa, Justice League Unlimited, oh wow. And I'm just like, whatever, guys. I guess it really sucks liking niche stuff, because then literally nobody else is excited, which is really such a bummer. But then, like, literally no one was excited for that set at all, and then they announced, like, whatever, some characters. Immortal Hulk is insanely meta, Punisher War Machine is insanely meta, but like nothing Captain America related is good in that set. There's also Spider-Man in that set that wasn't even an Avenger, so he had no right to be in that set, so it really bothers me as well. So thank you, Will. Captain Awesome says, what are some map or terrain ideas you'd like to see in the future? Are there any older mechanics you'd like to see brought back in a modern map and terrain? Honestly, I've got like no ideas when it comes to map and terrain. Keep making really cool theme terrain. You know, don't make a bunch of theme terrain that's just like, I don't take any damage. You know, but make really cool themed stuff, you know, that's fun to play around with. But as far as older mechanics go, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I love title characters. I won my first state tournaments with Captain America Resilient title character from Earth X, and he's one of my all-time favorite HeroClix figures ever. He's super comic accurate, he's super fun to play, and I beat a Unimind several times with that team. And I love Cap Resi. He is like a figure that I feel like if there's ever any one figure in HeroClix, it's like that's like my figure. Like that's my trademark figure. That's the one I liked more than any other one. It's that Earth X version of Captain America. So he was a title character. He was really cool. I would love to see more title character effects. I think you'd have to tweak them a little bit, but they were really fun. They're really awesome. So that is a effect I'd love to have come back. Greasy Gabriel asks, do you feel about WizKids providing cardboard bystanders for premium products and iconics? Piggybacking off that point, how did the Thundercats iconics not come with the proper amount of mutant bystanders to make you feel? I'm not a Thundercats fan. I did not know it didn't come with the improper amount of mutant bystanders, so I'm sorry to all Thundercats fans that were very excited for the mutant bystanders and they didn't come with the right amount. As far as getting cardboard bystanders as pack-ins of premium products, if it's like something that's very simple and easy to add in, why not do it, right? So a team-up card, a one-shot, little cardboard punch-outs, I imagine the cost on those is very low. So you're saying it's a premium product, like it needs to be a poker chip or that it needs to be something else. But if the cost is so negligible that they toss it in, I mean, look at the price of the 400 kits, right? So the 400 kits are all about the same price. Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't know what extra stuff Guardians or Spider-Man come with, right? Probably like a one-shot, probably a team-up card. But think about those, and now think about Captain America's Cookie Quartet. Its extra pack-in was the Captain America team-up card, which is literally the reason to buy that thing and lets so many amazing, cool team builds and stuff happen because of that. So I think those quote-unquote like cheap, easy pack-ins end up adding an insane amount of value, and I'm sure their cost is just negligible. Like, I'm sure it costs like 2 cents to make cardboard punch outs or, you know, whatever. So a few more questions here. Ed Arnold Berkovitz asks, best and worst map for a null team at Origins? I have no idea if Ancient Labyrinth is legal. Maybe that. I don't think null can really get around blocking very well, but I honestly don't remember what the legal map list is. He asked me my favorite scene from the new Backrooms movie. So I will say, number one, spoilers for Backrooms. If you haven't seen it, go see it. The movie's really good. It's really amazing. My favorite scene is actually when the therapist is caught in the backrooms and she's looking around, and you just barely see Clark. He like says, like, she looks at that painting, which you later understand, like, that's like the weird abstract Captain Clark, right? When she's looking at that painting on the wall, and he goes, "Are you there? Are you okay? Are you real?" Or whatever, but you just barely see like half of him. That got me so good. I loved that scene, and the entire dinner scene where you see that Clark is totally just in his own head and is just like, I like it here. I can be away from the harsh realities of the real world, and I'm in control of this place where I don't have to change. That entire dinner scene is so good. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Is Eternity better at 50 or 125? It's got to be 50, right? I don't even think this is me not having a pulse on the meta, but like, I've only ever seen practice games of people or him being played at 50. I don't think I've ever seen the 125. If you could teach Scarlett Johansson how to play Clix, which figures would I use? I would use the 2012 movie set Avengers, where it's like Black Widow is called the Covert Avenger, Cap is called the First Avenger, Iron Man's the Armored Avenger, etc. I would use those because that was the first starter set that I ever got, and it's got like the cool pack-in Avengers Tower map, and obviously it's her as a HeroClix figure. I feel like you got to use like something she was in. That, or I would use a lot of the figures from the 2014 Winter Soldier movie set, because again, she's obviously like Black Widow in that, and that just had really cool figures in it that were really fun. So, oh my gosh. Please, somebody somewhere, let me teach Scarlett Johansson how to play HeroClix. Best call-ins for Null? I don't know. That's great. I'm not a big Venom guy, not a big Null guy. I think Ed's trying to play some Null. I think he's all about playing Null. Lasher, the dog. I feel like the dog is pretty good if you want to do the hybrid dog thing. Seems not too bad. Which of Scott Porter's co-stars would beat him in a Clix game, and why? Now, this one I did think of, and I'm going to say Emil Hirsch, the guy that played Speed in Speed Racer. Obviously, if you can beat him in a race, he can beat you in a game of HeroClix. You know, maybe if, Scott or somebody, like, if this guy doesn't already know how to play, if old Emil doesn't already know how to play HeroClix, if someone taught him to play it, maybe he's, drives a car just as good as he can play HeroClix, right? So that's what I would go with. Tim Roby also asks, who do you think you are? I guess I think I'm Kalder Ness. His second question is, what gives you the right? I guess the Constitution is what gives me most of my rights here in America. Yeah, that was the last question. All right, guys, that was a crazy cool episode. I am very tired. I've yawned an insane amount of times. I've edited out a lot of yawns and did not probably edit out nearly as many as I could have. But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope to make a lot more Dial H episodes. Obviously, in the future, Dial H's 600th episode is actually coming up, which is really cool. So I hope to get us there sooner rather than later. Obviously, be on the lookout for everything in Origins. We are going to be live streaming. The start date is the 17th. That's a Wednesday, but all the events really start kicking off 18/19/2021. So we are going to be doing all sorts of live streaming throughout Origins, as well as a ton of extra videos. So pay attention to our Instagram, Dial H for HeroClix on Instagram, Dial H for HeroClix Podcast on Facebook, Dial H for HeroClix on YouTube. And then if you like everything that I do here, all the videos, content, HeroClix unboxings, all that stuff, so much more, support us on Patreon. Go to, patreon.com/DialH podcast, I believe is what it is. Shout out to Aiden McClarity for becoming a $5 patron back in May, but he's the last person to become a patron, so he gets big ups for becoming a patron. Also, shout out Brandon Bruner for becoming a $25 patron. Gonna get him his t-shirt soon. We're gonna have those Dial H for HeroClix shirts, the double 2 Chainz Captain America, goodness gracious, I've got a one-track mind. The 2 Chainz Guy Gardner t-shirt is gonna be out and about, so I actually am gonna probably make a post about that soon with the art for what that shirt is gonna look like, as well as probably at the end of June, July, probably at the end of June, we will get those shirts, ship them out early July for you to have those really cool 2 Chain Sky Gardener shirts. So if you want to support us on Patreon, get some really cool merch, get some cool action tokens, just so you know, that's what you can do. And also help a homie out. Been making content for a long time. Always appreciate the support. But yeah, guys, that was a fun little episode. A little bit about the history of Dial H, a little bit of fun questions to go ahead and answer. This is probably going to be, I would highly say this is probably my last solo episode, because that was kind of crazy to go through the whole episode. I think it felt like it took way longer than it actually did. Like, it was pretty fast, but through all these parts, I'm like, oh my gosh, 50 minutes in, oh, an hour and this many minutes in. Crazy how much one person can yap all by themselves. Like, goodness gravy. But guys, thank you so much for listening to Dial H for HeroClix, for your favorite HeroClix content, unboxing, podcasts, and more. Make sure you Dial H. And like always, happy trails.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
Who cares about the clouds that we're